Hi, this is Lynn McCool. Welcome to Unit 10, Designing for Visual Appeal. I want to spend a little bit of time in this screencast talking to you about your project plan proposal and to help you become situated with that particular project so that you know what you need to do. As you can see, the assignment due dates are listed in the Unit 10 again, just like in the prior unit. And you did have the elevator pitch, which was due on Monday. Your project plan proposal is due this coming Monday, March 30th at 11:59 p.m. In this screencast, I'll cover the final project components and also show you a template that you should use in order to put your final project together. You have a little bit of reading this week. It is chapter 17. We have read this chapter before, but the information within it applies again as we're thinking about getting ready to revise the Guide to Lab Practices, both the print and the web version. Chapter 17 talks about good layout and design for both print and web documents. You can also see that I have put a lynda.com video on here for you to take a look at. This is Project Management Fundamentals with Bonnie 04A. And I'm not asking that you watch all of it. That would take quite some time if you watched the entire thing. I mean, you're welcome to watch it all if you want to. But the sections and the subsections that I think are most pertinent, I have listed here on the Moodle. So please make sure that even with the extra resources such as this, that you are watching those or paying attention to those because I have chosen those carefully to give you additional information that perhaps your textbook doesn't have. Okay, so now let's go to the project plan proposal. I'll talk about each of the different sections and then I'll go into this directions page here and walk you through the template of what your proposal should look like. Proposals are a specific kind of genre of technical document. We've talked about genre before, the fact that there are standard kinds of procedures that are in place for each kind of genre of document. So there are certain things that make that genre of document unique to itself that perhaps other kinds of documents don't have. So let's look and see what we would find inside of a proposal. Our basic model for proposals has to do with front matter, the introduction, current situation, project plan, qualifications, costs and benefits, conclusion, and back matter. And I'll explain each of these different sections in detail. So the front matter has to do with the title page, and if your proposal is a very long document, it would have a table of contents. Your proposal, however, is not going to be that long, so you don't need a table of contents. Unless you just absolutely want to put one in, you can, but I'm not requiring a table of contents. So you should have a title page though. And then after the title page, you would move into the introduction. And there's some specific moves that happen in the introduction, and I'll address those in just a minute or so here. Then we would move into the body of the proposal. So each of these purple blocks represent part of the body of the proposal, and they're each subsections of the body. So we have a subsection that would discuss and describe the current situation. We would have another subsection that is the actual project plan itself, a qualification section, and a cost and benefits section. And anywhere in the body, so anywhere within these purple blocks, you could include graphics such as pictures, tables, graphs, Gantt charts. Those can be used throughout the entire body of the proposal. After you've finished talking about the cost and benefits of your proposal, then you would move into the conclusion. Again, the conclusion, like the introduction, has some specific moves that happen within it. And then finally, the back matter. Back matter has to do with additional information that you may want to share with the reader, but you don't want to insert directly into the proposal, the body of the proposal itself. And so the back matter then could be organized by way of using appendices. So, and you're probably familiar with with that from other kinds of documents that you've worked with, but putting additional information that might be helpful to the reader but not necessary within the body itself, you can have in an appendices at the back. And again, your proposal isn't as involved or as long as some can be, and so I don't really anticipate that you would need to have any kind of back matter. However, if you find that you do have some extra information you want to include and you want to make an appendices, you can do that, and that's no problem. Okay, your proposal for the most part will focus primarily on the project plan. In other words, how you're going to break down the steps, what tasks are you identifying that need to happen in order to complete this project in a timely manner, and also assigning those tasks to the various individuals on your team. Okay, so let's look at each one of the different sections. I'll explain the different moves that happen within them. So in the introduction, the specific moves are define the subject, state the purpose, state the main point, stress the importance, offer background information, and forecast the organization. So these are the specific moves that need to happen within the introduction. I will point out that this last move, forecasting the organization, is very important, and what I mean by that is in a bulleted list at the very end of the introduction, you're going to tell the reader the order in which you are going to cover all the items in the body. Okay, so you're just going to list it out in a bulleted list, current situation and so forth. You're going to list those down. So it works in a way, if you have ever given a speech where the instructor asks that you have a thesis statement and then a preview statement, and the preview statement of course previews the main points that you're going to cover in the speech. Forecasting the organization of the proposal works like that preview statement. It previews or it forecasts for the reader what's going to come next and the order in which you will discuss it. Okay, moving into the body of the proposal. The first section is to describe the current situation. So define and describe the problem, discuss the causes of the problem, and then discuss the effects of the problem if nothing is done. After that, you would move into your project plan. And here you would want to identify what your solution is for 3M's GLP. You want to state your objectives for this plan, and then describe the plan's major and minor steps along with the personnel who are going to complete these steps. And not only will you have verbal description of this, but you should put in a chart using either a Gantt chart, or you can create a simple bar chart in Excel to show how and when the various steps of the project will be completed and who will be completing them. Okay, so you do need this visual or this graphic in the project plan to demonstrate or to show your best projection as to how and when and who will be completing the steps of the project. The next section of the body is to describe qualifications, and here you would have a description of the personnel, so the people on your team, description of not only 3M as an organization, but you'll also be describing your involvement in Aerosoft and the Aerosoft company and the ethos that it brings to the project. And then you can mention any kind of previous experience that you have had as a team working on projects. Now, the qualification section is really the primary section where you can, for this particular project, make things up about yourself. So we're pretending as if you are degreed professionals who have been out in the field working for some time. Obviously, in a true proposal or a real proposal, you wouldn't make anything up. You could only put the actual credentials that you and your team members had and the actual projects that you have worked on. So for this particular project, we just have to pretend a little bit for the qualifications. So have a little bit of fun with that. The next part of the body is to sort of wrap up the major part of the proposal, the body of the proposal, with a cost benefits section. So you want to make an obvious transition to the cost benefits, state the costs of the project. Remember, costs can be more than just monetary, okay? So you can have monetary costs, but there may be other kinds of costs as well, human related kinds of costs that you might want to bring in. So summarize the benefits then after you've talked about the costs. Summarize the benefits of the project, briefly describe the future, and then thank the readers and offer contact information again one more time, even though you may have placed it elsewhere in the document. Obviously, just like all the other documents that you've been working with, you want to think about layout and design and the kinds of graphics that you're including, and also your page design. And that is one of the reasons why I have you read Chapter 17 again for this unit. So consider those elements of contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, your use of typography and white space, use of color, all of these factors that will either help or hinder the readability of the document. So pay attention to those things. I'll be looking at those things as well, along with the content inside the document. And then also be considering, even now, the differences between print and web versions of documents. So there are some things that you can do in a print version that sometimes don't translate very well to the web, and vice versa. And so you want to consider that as well. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this screencast then by going to the project plan proposal directions page that is housed there on Moodle in Unit 10. And it's going to sound very similar to the PowerPoint that I've just covered. That's because I've taken the information from the PowerPoint and I've laid it into a format here for you to follow so that you know exactly how much and where you should place items in your proposal. So remember, you're going to create this project plan. You want to use the proposal genre. If you're not, if you can't remember how that genre looks or how it operates, you can go back to Chapter 8 and review over that. And remember that your proposal has to do with completing the revision of 3M's Guide to Lab Practices. You're going to create two versions. You're going to have a print version and a web version. Okay, so the first part of your proposal should be a title page. And on that title page then you should have the title of the proposal. So title, the actual proposal's name, whatever you decide to title it as. And then a subtitle which says a proposal to, and then you would insert after that your condensed objective. So, you know, in the body of the proposal itself, you lay out the objective, what you're wanting to accomplish, and you would insert that objective here. So title the proposal, then underneath it, subtitle, a proposal to, insert objective. Then a few spaces down, submitted to, and insert the name of the company, so obviously it's 3M, and address your proposal to Daniel Sanborn, Lab Safety Specialist of 3M, submitted by, and then include your team name, and then the date. Now you can arrange this information on the title page in various ways, and so what I would suggest that you do is to go out and do a little research on the internet. Just do a Google search on proposals and see how different layouts look, and pick one that you think is the most reader and user friendly. Then you would move into the body of the proposal itself. I'm using that word body loosely, so the main part of the proposal document. You'd begin with your introduction. Remember, you want to include all the different moves that happen inside that introduction that I talked about on the PowerPoint slide deck there. You can probably cover all those moves in 1 to 2 paragraphs. Then you want a description of the current situation, again about a couple paragraphs. Describe your project plan. Remember, you want to include the Gantt chart and include your rationale for your proposed software, content, and design choices. The description of the qualifications should be a short paragraph per person. Provide information about your team and the company you work for, which is Aerosoft. You can use the Aerosoft website to generate your company ethos, and you can make up your personal qualifications. For your description of your personnel, make each person's name and qualification a header. Provide a short paragraph describing that person under the header. The description of Aerosoft's corporate mission, philosophy, history of the company. Use that information from the Aerosoft website. You can mention any previous experience, talk about your work done for other clients, and so forth. In the conclusion, in a couple of paragraphs, make those obvious transition to signal to conclude, state the costs, summarize the benefits,